Good morning, girls. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and their care of it for thousands of years. Open to the Spirit who has ever been present here, we resolve to appreciate its beauty, to be wise stewards of its resources, and to honour the connection the traditional custodians, the Kumba from the Ugamba Nation, have with this land.
Please join with me in saying the school prayer. Almighty God, from whom comes every good and perfect gift, send down your blessing, we pray, upon this school. Teach us to live together in love and joy and peace. In our work, give us the spirit of understanding and perseverance. In our games, true sportsmanship, and in our prayers, the power to draw near to you. Let the spirit of devotion and loyalty bind us all more closely together, so that we may labour not only for our own advantage, but also for the common good. Through him who loved us and gave himself for us, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Good morning, staff, students, and a special welcome to Gemma and Judith from the School of St Jude. Today we are delighted to have Gemma Sisia, the founder of this school, here to tell us her story and share her passion. In line with our motto, Non Nobis Solum, our school community is extremely supportive of St Jude's, with many families and staff sponsoring students. As a school, we sponsored two girls, Nafika Head and Nuru, in support of enhancing women's education across the globe.
We thought we would start by sharing some information about the two wonderful young women the school sponsors. Our first student, Nafika Head, is 16 this year and plays netball. Her interests lie in maths and science, and she wants to become a lecturer. All of the students at St Jude's live a significantly different life to ours. Nafia lives with her mother in a 2-room cement block home that is rented, living with other families too. Her home has no internal plumbing, and she must collect water from local taps.
Secondly, Nuru is 19 and graduates in May this year. Her best subjects are biology and chemistry, and she hopes to become a doctor, mainly for women and children. She lives with her grandparents, 3 aunties, 3 uncles, and 1 cousin in a 5-room cement block, which means 10 people are residing in a 5-room home. In her letters to us, Nuru says, "Thank you for sponsoring and supporting me in my education." Through letters we've received, as well as their report cards, we have learnt that both of these girls are thriving at St Jude's, and we can't wait to see what their bright future holds. At the end of 2018, 23 St Hilda's girls spent 3 weeks in Tanzania, and this trip is going forward again at the end of this year. As part of the trip, the girls will once again visit St Jude's and see the amazing work that they do. From our time over there, after having seen government schools, St Jude's well exceeded our expectations. We were provided with a tour around the primary campus by students across various year levels and saw their learning environment and the resources available to them. The students welcomed us with open arms, and all of them possess an undeniable excitement to learn. The school fosters such a positive environment, which most definitely showed through the students' smiles, beaming with their happiness to be afforded this opportunity. St Jude's has become internationally known for its beautiful message, giving the poorest yet brightest children a chance at education, allowing them to reach their potential.
Gemma, the school founder, is an Australian who used her intense passion for education to fight poverty in a lesser developed nation. She grew up in a town near Armidale as one of 8 children, first travelling to Africa at age 22 to teach maths and science. In 2002, after realising the limited educational opportunities in Tanzania, Gemma started a school with $10, 3 students and 1 teacher. In 17 years, the school has progressed in more ways than one. Now at 1,900 students with 1,400 in boarding, and the running of the school supported by generous sponsors and donations. Due to her success, boundless energy and impressive vision, in 2013, Gemma was nominated for the New South Wales Australian of the Year. Along with Gemma, Judith, who graduated in May last year, has joined us today to share with her experience of being a student at St Jude's. The school is a remarkable initiative, and Gemma's drive made it all possible. Visiting the school ourselves and meeting some of the female students, we can most definitely say that Gemma is doing an outstanding job at improving the quality of education in Tanzania. Her determination in fundraising for the school and what she has achieved is truly inspiring. And we can't wait to hear what she has to say today. Please welcome her to the stand.
Hello everybody, we're very excited to come to your school, your wonderful school, and tell you all about the St Jude's, because you've been helping us for a number of years and we're very honoured to come and give you a bit of an update on what is happening over at the school. Some of you may not know much about the school St Jude, and so I'll be going through a little bit of the history to begin with. So where are we? We are in East Africa, in Tanzania. Most people will come to our part of the world to go on safari or climb Kilimanjaro. In actual fact, Kilimanjaro International Airport is only about an hour's drive from our school, and so there's no excuses for you not coming to visit. However, behind the nice big tourist hotels and all the nice roads that lead to the airport is the reality. People in our part of the world are very, very poor, and so that's why you'll also find the schools of St Jude also in the same area. Now, a lot of people have asked me, how did it all begin and where did it all start? So as the girls were saying, I grew up in Armidale on a sheep property. I grew up with 7 very wild brothers. I think that taught me a lot of survival skills pretty much from birth. But after finishing university, I worked in East Africa as a teacher. So I'm a high school maths science teacher, and I worked for a few years in East Africa. And there is where I decided it would be great to build a good private school, but a private school that would be free of charge, so the children didn't have to pay school fees. So came back to Australia, told mum and dad and my brothers that I'm going to build a free private school in Africa, and you can imagine how that went down. But one of my good friends gave me my first donation, which was $10. I opened a bank account with that $10, and then a group of friends helped me to get some building materials. And so this is a group of friends from around Armidale who started building the school. Finally, the school was ready for opening in 2002, and we had a huge number of students. You can see there, a total of 3 totally enrolled. So whilst we only had 3 kids, we didn't give up. Ever since 2002, we've been heavily fundraising. All of that money comes across to Tanzania so we can build more classrooms, more boarding houses, employ more staff, and ultimately enrol more students every single year. And so what does the School of St Jude look like today? Well, currently we have about 1,800 students. 100% of them are all on scholarships. And they are currently, we'll go back to here. We've got boarding for about 1,000 students. And a few weeks ago, we just opened a new girls' secondary boarding school. So this new girls' secondary boarding school has capacity for about 600 girls, which is pretty exciting. And that just opened a few weeks ago. The top picture there is a picture of our primary school and part of our girls' school. The one in the middle is our big secondary school, where that's single sex for boys up to year 10, and then co-ed for 11 and 12. And the picture on the bottom is our boarding closer to the primary and also our girls' boarding school. So we have about 270 Tanzanian staff, and that makes a big difference in the local community, and there's now 3 campuses. There's a bit of a video here that I thought you might be interested to see. We had some visitors last year who brought a drone, and so you can see here this is the primary school here, and then this is the dining hall for our current primary school. That is the new girls' secondary school that only opened a few weeks ago that has capacity for 600 girls. Remember, all of these girls are on complete 100% scholarships, and it's thanks to good people like you that they're all getting a good private education. And this is our big secondary school where we've got about 1,000 boarders at that school. Finally, this is the boarding where our new girls, the girls' secondary, this is where they're sleeping every single night. On the side, I've got my own growing project happening. So many years ago, surprise, surprise, where we live, I went on safari, and 8 years later married the driver. So we have our own little growing project happening on the side. So I married Richard, and we currently have 4 children, from Nathaniel, who has just turned 18, down to the boss of the family, and that's Louisa, and she's 7. So that's a little project growing on the side. So at St Jude's, we work really, really hard. Even though these kids are from Tanzania, I don't believe that they should be, educated in mud huts. So we try and give them the best facilities that we can, the best teachers that we can find in the country. So now Tanzania has become, with St Jude's in the country, it's got a big brand within Tanzania. We're known as a real leader in charitable education. Just to give you some statistics, in our equivalent HSC exam last year, St Jude's got number 1 for advanced mathematics, which is a tough mathematics subject in the entire country. Our grade 7 students, which is our primary national exams, all of our students were put in the top 0.3% of the entire country for their national exams. And just recently, a few weeks ago, I took all of our Form 2 students out for chicken and chips, which is the ultimate if you do well. And because basically 180 of our Form 2 students got a Division 1, which is like an average of an A with their national exams. Only one student, poor thing, got a Division 2. We've worked really, really hard over the years at localisation. Many years ago, we had a lot of wonderful Australian teachers in our classrooms, but I'm very proud that today all of our math, science, every teacher, right up to the headmasters, are now Tanzanian. So each school has its own Tanzanian leadership team and student government, and they help to oversee everything on the campus, from all the teaching, education, excursions, all the sporting and everything, and all the food, everything across their campus. We also have a big visitor program. We really believe in transparency. We want people to come and stay at the school. So we actually have about 70 rooms at the school. It's basic accommodation, but it's always wonderful to be there at the moment where a couple meets the child that they've been helping to pay for their scholarship for many years. These people tend to stay in our accommodation like this. They're basic accommodation, but you get your own bed and toilet and shower and mozzie-net. You just don't walk out into a nice foyer with soft music. You just walk out onto the playground each morning. And I thought you might like to see a little video that actually summarises our visitor experience at St Jude's. Each year we're very blessed to have over 1,000 sponsors and donors and just visitors coming and staying at St Jude's. But it's, at St Jude's, a lot of people think it's the kids only who benefit. That's not true. You can imagine all the men and women, for example, who are pedalling away on their Singer pedal machines, making all the hundreds and hundreds of uniforms for the kids to wear. All the farmers who are growing the thousands of cabbages and tomatoes and onions and cows and rice and grains that go into our over 1 million hot meals that the school provides each year. So there's a lot of people in our community who feed off the budget of St Jude. Even as something as a salary, with our near 300 Tanzanian staff on the payroll, I learnt the other day that on average, each of their salaries are supporting around 10 family members. And so just by paying someone a salary has a big impact on the community. A lot of people ask me, how do we select students? You know, it's a private school, it's free of charge, and so everybody loves to go to, a good private school, of course, free of charge. So we get lots and lots of applications. You can imagine your wonderful school here, St Hilda's. Imagine if it was free of charge. How many people? I think half of Australia would apply to come here. And so we have that sort of problem. We get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids all trying to get a scholarship at St Jude's. Every school has a different mission. Some schools are about creating great football players. Other schools, it might be about, having an emphasis on music or art. At St Jude's, our mission is to find bright children who are very, very poor, and we give them an academic scholarship. And so the children who get in are those students who pass the criteria against our mission, which is bright, poor. So every year we have many, many students applying. They do a series of entrance exams. If they pass the entrance exams, then they have to do a document check, and that's where we look at their background. For example, did they pass the test because they're currently enrolled in a private school or in a government school? You're not allowed to apply for a scholarship at St Jude's if you're currently enrolled in a private school. You have to be coming from a government system. Did the child pass the test because they're 15, pretending to be 7 years old? So are they age appropriate? And so this is the document check that we do. If they pass that, then we send a series of a number of staff to the family of the home to see if they are poor enough. Does the family have electricity? Do they have in-house water? Do they have glass windows, more than a couple of rooms? These are the types of families who get into the school. By about December, so each year we bring students into primary, and we also bring students at the beginning of secondary and then also into year 11 equivalent. And so we've got 3 feeder times for the school. However, by December, in example with the primary students, we have selected which students are going to be able to start primary school at St Jude's. We give them a uniform and then we send them out to their parents. And it's always a wonderful time because it makes you realise all the hard work behind the scenes is worth it. So I've got a little video here that basically summarises how we select students into primary. So that's how we enrol students into primary. Now, whilst students are coming into primary, we just enrolled a few weeks ago. We're starting also to get graduates. So the students that we started the school with, that year group, finally reached year 12 back in 2015. Thankfully, there were more than 3 of them by the time they got to year 12. There was about 60 of them, and this is a picture of our first Form 6 graduation. Since then, we've got on average about 160 students coming out every year from year 12. And since then, all of those students, with the support of St Jude's, have gone on to universities. And in actual fact, currently we have about 500 students who have finished year 12, and about 3/4 of them are currently studying STEM-related tertiary courses at university. Now, what was really exciting is that the kids that we started the school with way back in 2002, started graduating from university last year in November. So any of our initial students who were doing 3-year courses like business or education started graduating from uni last year. There was 24 of them graduated, and these are some of our first graduates from the schools of St Jude. One of them especially is Bubba. So he's from Maasai. He's got like 5 or 6 mums and 50-something brothers and sisters. And he got a scholarship at St Jude's many years ago, and he graduated from education last year, and we have just employed him a few weeks ago as a maths science teacher at our New Girls Secondary School. So that's him in the New Girls Secondary School teaching. I thought you might like to see a little video about our very first students who have graduated from university. This is Judith. She started in primary.
Without the sponsors that sponsored me, I don't think if I would have reached this far. So I'm really grateful. Thank you very much. There are no words that can express how grateful I am. So all I want to say is thank you very much.
However, before our students go to university, in between Year 12 and university, we have a community service year. It's a year where the students are able to give back in thanks for their free education. And what they normally do is they go and work in our poorly resourced government schools in our area. For example, the students who finished Year 12 last year, currently between them, they are currently teaching over 30,000 students in our government secondary schools. So what happens is they go and do their HSC equivalent exams and then go home like everyone does for a few weeks and sleep after their national exams. And then they come in for a 1-week crash teaching course where we teach them how to do a lesson plan, logbooks, schemes of work. We give them some textbooks, some boxes of chalk, and then we kick them out to a government school for a year. And so Asha, for example, is a teacher. And when I say teaching, they're not tutoring or assistant teaching. They have their own classes. Some of our students are even heads of departments because there's such a shortage of especially math science teachers. We've got Rickson, who's doing his community service here in our visitor department. And then we've got Judith also, who is teaching in the government school. And whilst I'd love to be able to bring lots of kids here, I could only bring one. And we could only afford to bring one, and so Judith drew the short straw. So I'd like to introduce to you Judith, who finished Form 6 or Year 12 equivalent last year.
Thank you. Hi, girls. So my name is Judith, and I'm going to share part of my story about my family and the way how St Jude have transformed me. So I only live with my mom. I also have 3 other siblings, but sadly, we don't live with them. So my elder brothers left home too early. So my mom is all what I got, and I love her dearly. So way back, currently we are living in a compound with 2 rooms. And way back before, my mother used to be selling vegetables, at the Central Market. And later on, she got employed as a cleaner in an apartment complex. But before that, life was really tough. So at some point, we even had to go to the village and stayed in the village for 1.5 years. So my mom at that time used to be growing vegetables. Some of it she could sell so as we could earn a living. But still, life was tough. Then when we returned to the city, that is Arusha, where St. Jude is, she was able to enroll me in a government school. When I was still in the government school, it's when we happened to hear about St. Jude from the local radio. Then she took me for the interview. So for the interview, a lot of applicants could come, almost 600 of them, but there are only 150 scholarships for the 600 applicants. So you can imagine how the selection is really tough. to get a chance to go to St. Jude's. So after doing the entry exams, a team of teachers from St. Jude staff could be sent to my home to do a home check to make sure that if I was poor enough and I could be enrolled in St. Jude. And happily, in 2007, I got my chance to start St. Jude's. So, that's my mom, my sister, and I on the home check. And that is when I started St. Jude in 2007. So you can see me on a pretty hard. And the other one the other side there, I was a prefect. I remember it was primary 3, I think. I was a prefect. So what's the difference between St. Jude and the government schools? So in St. Jude, we get free hot meals, which is quite different from the local government school. Lessons do start at 8 a.m., and they could probably finish at 5:30 p.m. So if your parents don't have money to support you, you could stay hungry the whole day. Imagine going to a class when you're very hungry, and in fact, the afternoon lessons. So St. Jude provided us hot meals, and it is still providing, in fact, every day, so we don't have to worry about our meals or staying hungry. Also, one thing that is also quite different from St. Jude and the government school is St. Jude is well equipped with books. So the library are very well equipped from non-fiction books and the fiction books. So you can choose any book that you want, and we're even allowed to borrow books to go with them at home. While in a government school, one book will be shared to 10 students. So you can imagine that you have to borrow a book to your friend, and you book it. Until it reaches your time, the book is lost. So you won't have anything to read. Also in St. Jude, I even had a chance to have my own bed. That is quite different in African families. So you can find one bed is shared among 4 people, and that's life. But in St. Jude, definitely you have your own bed. That means you'll get more time to study and focus on everything. The teachers there are very well committed and passionate to make sure that we really reach our dreams. And that is my teacher. He used to be teaching me chemistry in high school. So I did chemistry, biology, and geography. My teacher really was a hardworking man, and I'm really proud of him. We also have the school nurse. In government school, if you fall sick, that's it. Nobody will care if you miss your lessons, and nobody will even come and ask you. But in St. Jude, we do have a school nurse. If you fall sick anytime, you can go to the nurse, and you'll get attended. And if it's really severe, then the nurse will take you by the school bus to the hospital, and they'll make sure that you are always on good health and you can progress well with your studies. I really liked public speaking at school, and at some point, I could even chair debate meetings. And the campus is definitely the best place to be with friends, so that is Good Light. My friend, she's now in year 12, so I used to be helping her with her studies, waking her up at 2 p.m. She's doing physics, chemistry, and biology, so it's tough on her side, so she has to wake up early to make sure that she could catch up and got good grades. I finished high school last year around May, and I'm very proud of that because I'm the first one in my family to go to high school, so I bet that my mother and sister, brothers are very proud of me. Currently, I'm also doing my community service year as a biology teacher in a government school. So I teach 417 students in a school of 900 students. So I teach teenage boys and girls of age 16, 17. Yeah, but definitely teaching those kids, it's a very good opportunity and exposure because I definitely understand they never had that chance to make it to St. Jude, and they do have scarcity of teachers. So like last year, I was the only biology teacher teaching the Form 3 students, and there were 217 of them. So you can imagine if it wasn't for the community service year, those kids could not have a teacher in class. So the knowledge I got from St. Jude, I definitely have to share it with with other people in my community. So now that you have heard my story, I want you to see the video that has the impact that good people like you had on me, my mama, and my students when I'm completing my community service year. Today, I'd like to take you to my home. I live in Mianzini, which is just a few minutes from Arusha City. I love my mom, and I'm very proud of her because she has been taking care of us all by herself since my father left more than 20 years ago.
Mimi naitwa Esther, mama yake Judith, na watoto 4. Kweli mimi nilikuwa napenda niwe nesi. Zamani hizo nilikuwa napenda niwe nesi kwa kweli. Nilikuwa napenda sana. Kwa kweli nilifurahi sana kwa kweli. Nilimshukuru Mungu sana kwa kweli. Kuanzia yeye alipopata kule, imenisaidia mimi pia hata wale wenzake kuendelea kidogo. Kwanza tokea nimetoka kule ndo nimeweza kupata nyumba ya room 2, alafu nimeweza kupata hivi vitu.
After graduating from St Jude, I started doing my community service at Kaloleni Secondary School.
I'm one of the 3 interns here at Kaloleni Secondary School. Currently, there are 2 permanent biology teachers across the whole campus, and me coming in as the 3rd teacher has helped a lot in teaching the 900 students. Out of the 900 students, I teach 417 of them. One thing that I'm very proud of is one of my students. When I first came in, he was getting very low grades, but after teaching him and helping him, he improved his grades and he got good marks.
Kwa majina naitwa Karen na nasoma Kaloleni Secondary School na ni mwanafunzi wa Judith. Kuanzia Judith hadi hapa shuleni kwetu tumepiga hatua kubwa sana katika masomo yetu ya sasa kwenye somo la biolojia na pia hata katika kuongea Kiingereza, mara nyingi alikuwa akitumia lugha ya Kiingereza.
Jina langu naitwa Warren, mwanafunzi wa kidato cha 4 Kaloleni Secondary. Nimejifunza kujiamini mbele ya wanafunzi, mbele ya watu wote, hata pengine napomaliza shule na mimi naweza nikawa mwalimu.
Doing my community service here at Kaloleni Secondary School has helped me realize how lucky I was to go to St Jude, because I had enough teachers who were always ready to assist me, good laboratories that were well equipped with materials, and a good library that was full of textbooks. I have loved my community service so far because I've been able to help my community and my young brothers and sisters.
Thank you. So after finishing high school, I'll be going to my university around November this year, and I would like to do agricultural business. I was also inspired by the school farm. So at St Jude, we do have a very big farm. We grow our own vegetables, bananas, watermelons. So seeing how the school farm was being managed, it really inspired me, and I really want to be working with preparing all the seeds, fighting the diseases. So that is us working on the school shamba. Please, it's my kind request that there are several brochures and USBs that contain more pictures and videos about St Jude, and there are stories like the 60 Minutes and the Australian story. Miss Caroline, please, could you come up? Oh, you're here. So I'll leave them with Miss Caroline. If you need any of the USB and brochure to share it with your family and help us spread the word about St. Jude, please don't hesitate to see Miss Caroline. So that now you have heard my story, and a few of my elder brothers and sisters are graduating from university, but I'm just one of the 2,000 students back in Tanzania who are really eager to get that chance to a better school and education. There are still hundreds of my young brothers and sisters who are just starting their educational journey. So your support really matters, and help us share the word about St. Jude with your father, mother, uncles, and this will really help us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Gemma and Judith, for such a heartwarming speech. We would now like to open up to you girls to ask Gemma or Judith any questions. We will be sending around a roaming microphone, so please raise your hand if you have a question.
Hey, so Judith, did your younger siblings go to St Jude's?
Pardon?
Did your younger siblings go to St Jude's?
I'm the youngest in my family, but St Jude has a principle of only taking one student per family. So I'm the lucky one in my family to go to St Jude's.
Nice. Did you ever end up teaching them? Did you ever end up teaching your younger siblings, or did they go to a different school? Oh, well, sorry.
Do you have any uniform requirements? But I know you guys have a uniform, but do you have to have your hair up or a certain number of earrings in your ear or anything?
So we are not allowed to have any form of ornaments like the earrings, but we are allowed to plait our hair cornrows, and they should not exceed 10 lines.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
Are you supplied with accommodation for your year of community service?
No, but what we actually do, if you're opting to go and teach to a government school, you have to choose a government school that is near your home place, so it won't be hard for you to get to the government school. That means you won't be having to spend a lot of money on transportation. But if you're working at school, inside the St. Jude, you'll be able to catch the school bus.
How much does it cost to sponsor a child at St. Jude's?
That question, definitely Gemma will help me answer it.
It's about $240 a month. $240 Australian dollars.
So it takes 240 Australian dollars to sponsor a child in St. Jude's.
Thank you.
It's per month.
Hi, Judith. I was just wondering what language at St. Jude's the lessons are taught in. Is it English or?
All lessons are taught in English except for Kiswahili lesson. So speaking Swahili while it's not Swahili lesson.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. What do you want to be when you're older if you're not going to be a teacher?
No, when I go to uni, I'll do agricultural business. So I'll be fighting against the pests in the farms, developing new seeds, and such stuffs.
Okay.
Apart from going into agricultural business, do you have any other hopes? Pardon me. Do you have any other hopes or dreams for the future?
Definitely yes. So I'm so passionate about helping other people. It's not a must that it must be St. Jude's, but also helping the kids who are in orphanage. I'm pretty passionate about that, and I'll definitely do that.
If you're not maintaining your grades at St. Jude's, can you get kicked out of the school?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so once you graduate studying agricultural business, do you have an interest in going back to St. Jude's to help with the growing of the farms?
Mm-hmm. That also depends at that time if they'll be in need of me. And if I apply for the job and I do well in the interview, probably they'll recruit me. But it's not a must that if you graduate from St. Jude, you definitely have to go and work there. No.
When you're not studying or teaching, what do you like to do in your spare time?
I just like reading news, especially the world politics. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Where you volunteer as your community service, do you teach the lessons in English or your native language? And are all the teachers natives, or are there programs for English people to come across and teach at your school?
all the teachers in the government school are natives, and teaching is also done in English, but it's very hard for those students to learn quickly English. So if they are Form 1 students, is that year 9? So year 9 is transition from the primary, then they go to secondary. So you just have to be a bit fair to the Form 1s, 50 native and English, but year 10, 11, and 12, it's English across.
Did you ever want to be a nurse like your mum? Or did any of your older siblings become a doctor or something?
Yes, I wanted to be a nurse, but I was scared to take physics. So for us in Tanzania, if you want to be a doctor or a nurse, you should have physics, chemistry, and biology. So as for me, I opted chemistry, biology, and geography. And at that particular year, 2017, the government announced that if you are doing chemistry, biology, and geography, you won't have to do the health courses. Have I answered you?
When you were a kid, were there any other schools available for you other than like the government schools?
No. So I only started in a government school, and afterwards, St Jude's.
What did you enjoy most about your time at St Jude's?
Everything, dear. Everything. I mean, being in St Jude is like being somewhere out of Tanzania. That's the truth. Because in Tanzania, it's very common to have electricity shorted the whole day. But in St Jude, if the electricity goes off, boo, the generator lights up. Yes, and also the playgrounds. I mean, playing netball, debates, having fun with friends.
Hi, so I was just wondering, since St Jude's is in like Tanzania, I was wondering if any wildlife was around the school, so you saw any animals, or any animals came into the school.
Pardon?
Oh. If you saw any animals at school, so like African animals.
So the boys' campus is a few kilometers away from the Arusha National Park. So back in the days, almost 2008, when the school was still very new, we could definitely see zebras and gazelles passing by.
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you.
Oh, so last year, we had 7 elephants came into the school. They were really big. In fact, the African elephants, the black ones, are really big. So imagine seeing the elephants in your school compound. So those animals came from the Arusha National Park, which is a few kilometers from the Usa River campus, the boys' campus.
So when you're older, are you going to keep helping kids who can't do things like they can't, like poor and can't afford to go to a private school? Are you going to help them?
So helping starts now. For St Jude, if I'm doing my community service year and we get the stipend, and if you decide to start contributing, you start now. So it's not about the plan of 10 to 20 years. Helping starts now. So definitely, I'll definitely help them from now till then.
Okay, so this is our last question.
So how old are you when you started St Jude's?
I was 8. I definitely know you're calculating my age right now. So I was 8 when I started St Jude's. Thank you.
Gemma and Judith, thank you for taking the time to come and speak to us today and answering some of our questions. The three of us have been fortunate to visit St Jude's and have seen the wonderful work that you and your team do. The enthusiasm of the students at the school is undeniable and infectious. Judith, we wish you all the best for the future. We are sure that you will experience many amazing things. We would now like to present you with a gift to show our appreciation for your visit today and some money to support St Jude's. We hope to see you again soon and that you have a safe travel back to Tanzania. Asante sana.
Good afternoon, girls. I would just like to thank the wonderful three girls for hosting the assembly and to thank all of our visitors from Tanzania. The lady over on the right here, Susie Bridle, is an old girl of St Hilda's and was our tour guide when we were in Tanzania at St Jude's in 2018. So she's very excited to come back to her old school and very, very excited that our connection to St Jude's is getting stronger. So if anybody would like to pick up a brochure and a USB, they will be in the Senior School Centre. I cannot encourage you enough to make a donation to assist the wonderful work that Gemma is doing. As you've heard from Judith, it makes a huge difference in their lives. I look forward to spending a night and a day and a half at St Jude's in December when we go later this year. So that's my point. I have been following Gemma's journey for a long time, and it is an incredible journey. So I'm very privileged and so proud to have you here. So thank you very much.